Thank you, Master. Um, Screen share enable பண்றீங்களா Master? Thank
Yes.
you. Good morning, everyone. Today, thank you very much for the opportunity to discuss the most important topic in life, Brahmagnanam. And I'm so privileged that I'm able to share my thoughts and experience in this particular topic in this August audience. I hope this talk will create a kind of awareness and enlightenment kind of feeling, and I'm very sure it will be useful in your spiritual path and practice. Brahmagnanam is very unique to our Sky Yoga practices. Apart from Brahmagnanam, the same topic was I have noted in the other practices like Vedanta also, like Vedanta Society, which is present in various parts in India, UK, New York, various places. Apart from very few important followers of this kind of spiritual paths, I don't think others have this concept of Brahmagnanam. That's why I thought that this may be a very unique one to share. Sometimes from the outset it may appear quite difficult, but once you understand, you will certainly have a feeling, oh, this is what? This is just in front of my eyes. How come I forget that? I can tell you an example. Sometimes people wear spectacles, I do wear, and then for some reasons we just put it in our forehead or slightly in the head. And then we will certainly search for this spectacle all throughout the house, and we can never find it unless two things happens or three things happens. Accidentally we touch our head, or somebody next to you pointing out, or you ended up seeing a mirror. So it's like that. It is quite obvious, everywhere, powerful, always with us, or in fact it is us. That is the aim of this presentation. So, what is the approach today? My approach is to take every topic of Maharishi in a very scientific manner. My interest is to spread Maharishi's concepts beyond the Indian borders or the Hindu related borders. Take it to the school going children who are quite curious in asking questions, and take it to the people of the other religious and belief in origin. That's my main wish. That's why I want to take it everything in a very scientific basis. Even though it is mainly addressed in that concept, I'm very sure once you understand it, you will see that, oh, that's nice to know. I believed in Brahmagnanam. I absolutely believe it. It's the one of the best concept in the world. But it's so nice to see that even the science is behind it, or science is backing it, or there is a science behind it. That's the main thing. Now, next slides we will discuss what is Brahmagnanam, what is the science in the Brahmagnanam, and how will we apply in our day-to-day practice. We are applying it through various Sky practices, but with the scientific background, how we can improve the application, whether it will make any major change in our spiritual path, what are the benefits, and I have a kind of a curious slide on what if whatever I'm saying is wrong. Okay. Of course, science part is known to everyone. I gathered them from the very authentic scientific publications, so you all feel accepted and believe it. But science also changes. Sometimes they say this vaccine is good, and sometimes they say that strain is good, this vaccine is not good. So science also changes. So the curious slide is why we should follow this even whatever we discussed is going wrong. So I can take the placebo effect and explain that, and why this is the ultimate truth, and what is happening in the name of Brahmagnanam in Aliyar. I had a very nice opportunity to spend 3 full days in Aliyar for Brahmagnanam course. Of course, few more days on various other PhD projects. So this presentation will revolve around these 3 circles: Brahmagnanam as per Sky Yoga, what is a scientific principle, and what is my understanding. So there is a specific reason why I placed this in three circles. You can see that three circles are overlapping each other, and there is only one small area where everything coinciding to each other. Because I have some concepts which is slightly away from scientific, which also I will of course share. Somebody may be curiously very intrigued to know what is the ultimate truth, why we are naming it as ultimate truth. Say for example, in this room where I am presenting, I am the only person sitting. This is a truth, but what's in it? There is nothing in it. It's just a truth. But there is something known as ultimate truth. So what is that ultimate truth? The ultimate truth means this is the truth which is very difficult to grasp. And if I say 2-3 truths, like for example, water flows from high level to low level, I'm the only person sitting in this room, you may feel one sentence may be having a more weightage compared to the other sentence. So like that, if we align the truths, there is one thing which is the ultimate, and ultimate means ultimate. There is nothing above that. That is the Brahmagnanam. Why it is the ultimate truth? Because that is the only way you can understand and answer two important questions. What is life and why is life? Why suffering is happening? All these things will be answered. And what more than this? Everything in the life revolves around these concepts only. We usually don't ask why happiness is happening. Say for example, today if everything went well, you had a very nice food in the lunchtime, you will never feel like, oh, today is so good. Why it is so good? But usually if something bad happens, our heart sinks there more compared to the good happenings. There are specific reasons for this. Our mind is so trained to tune us to focus on the negative items so that you will sustain. It's a part of existence principle. If you focus only on the happiness things, you may be shying away from the dangerous things, and that can kill a person. So our mind and body are so automated to lead our life to exist. That's the way. That's why we feel so much of unhappiness, and or we feel good amount of happiness and unhappiness, but we give more weightage to the unhappiness. This is another concept, but I will try to focus myself on the Brahmagnanam as much. So I don't want to make it very scientific also, because a lot of you may not be very much interested in physics, and then it will become a little bit over the head lecture. But I will certainly touch the most important things pertinent to the talk. I wish everyone to just at least understand one simple law, Hubble limiter law. It's very important. That's the basis of how the universe expands, Big Bang theory from the scientific point of view. And that's the basis by which we can prove the Brahmagnanam in the scientific point of view. That's why this law is very important. Hubble, most of you may know, he is the person who devised the telescope, and in a relatively big fashion, so that you can see distant stars, planets, etc. Limiter is a Belgian priest. Maybe some of you may not know. He is a very orthodox Christian, and he, with the help of the telescopes, with the cooperation from Hubble, formulated this law. In fact, this law is entirely against the very orthodox Christian beliefs. That's why it's very important to know that Limiter is a Belgian priest. In spite of his so soaked in religious beliefs, he was able to come out with this law. So the law says if you hold a telescope and look away, you will be seeing plenty of stars. If you just pick 2 stars and then note them, maybe every evening, you will see that they are all moving, and 2 things are happening. Number 1, they are moving at a very high speed away from the earth, and number 2 is they are also diverging from each other. And the same law applies to all the stars and all the galaxies. That's the beauty of it. It's not like if I look in the east direction, if I see a star, that star is moving away from the earth. But if I see a west direction, that star is not moving away. It is slightly on. Every star is moving away, and it's happening at a very increasing speed. It's not like maybe like 1,000 kilometers per hour it's going on. Not like that. It's 1,000, 1,500. It's at an increasing speed. So what this shows, and it's uniform and any direction you see, any part from the earth, if you observe, the same law applies. So how this can happen? If this law is so simple, so uniform, it means as of now the whole galaxy, not only our galaxy, whole universe is first of all uniform. If you look at one place, maybe you will see a galaxy. If you look at other place, there may be a space between two galaxies, which we can label as like a dark matter or dark energy, which we can discuss in detail. But overall, it's uniform. It's like a nice smoothie with some it's like mango bits in it. Yes, there are mango bits, but overall, if you see in the transparent glass, it looks uniform. Okay, there are some particles, but in spite of it, it's uniform. So if it is so uniform in the 360 degrees and the stars are moving away, which when you observe by help of a telescope, it will appear as a red shift. So in the VBR, if the red shift happens, it means things are moving away. If it is violet towards violet, the shift happens, the things are coming towards us. For example, if you have an asteroid which is wrongly focusing on Earth and coming towards us, if you observe with the help of that spectroscopic telescopes, it will show a violet shift. Let me not get into too much of science. So because of the redshift only, they found that the things are happening like that. So if it's so uniform and things are going away with an increasing velocity and it applies to everything uniform, just extrapolate backwards. It's 2022. So what happened 100 years before? Things are slightly closer. 1000 years before, things are slightly closer. So if you extrapolate this, you can easily understand in 13.8 billion years ago, everything should have been started from one point. This is how Big Bang was constructed. Nobody can see Big Bang. Okay. Theoretically, by time travel, say for example, if somebody is interested in time travel, means how I can explain is you are having good rainy day, lightning thunder. First you will see a bright light in the window or something like that. Then after 1 or 2 seconds you will hear. Okay. Why that happens? Light travels faster compared to the sound. Very simple. School science. Now, when you are hearing that thunder, it is a type of a miniature time travel, if you can understand it. So you are hearing something which happened few seconds early. Okay. So this is a time travel. What is time travel? By eyes, by hearing, by feeling, by body, you should be in a older year. So this lightning principle is a kind of a miniature time travel by you can understand by hearing and by seeing you have a small difference. Similarly, telescopes, if you use one of the Hubble's very powerful telescope and by chance if you are a very good stargazing person, if you come across a star is bursting or getting into a supernova, something like that, if you observe that, it doesn't mean it's happening now. It may be happening hundreds and years of before, but you are seeing that because it takes so much of time for that light to reach the telescope. That's why you're seeing that. So like that, if you have a very ultra powerful telescope, you may be able to travel 13.8 million ago. You can see the Big Bang on your eyes, but unfortunately we don't have such a very big telescope. This new James Webb telescope, which is going to be installed outside the atmosphere so that we don't have that earth related, gravity related, atmosphere related disturbances, and we can see a little bit more better in an ultra high definition manner. Possibly we'll get the results as the years going on. So it's quite clear that everything started in a singularity. This is what our Maharishi mentioned as like a Adi ennum Paramporul. Okay. And he will mention that this Paramporul has got 3 main qualities. The first one is Puranam, which means that is the reason everything happened. Okay. Those who are interested in Sanskrit Vedas, there is a very nice sloga which starts with Purnamadam, Purnamidam. It's a very nice one. The crisp of it is this Adi ennum Paramporul. If you take something from it, it will be still Puranam. If you add something to that, it will be still Puranam. So that is the concept. It's like infinity in mathematics. And also it has Vatra Irpu. It will never go dry. And it is Vatra Irpu. And also it is Purna Jnanam. It has got all the intelligence. Say, for example, I've got some intelligence, and Rajan Master, Ganga Kumaran sir, they have some intelligence. If we three are standing in one area as a group, people can say they three have this much of intelligence. So intelligence are adding together. So like that, the Earth's intelligence, whatever moon or sun's intelligence, if you add all the intelligence, it belongs to the Adi Enum Paramparul. So that's why it is known as the Perarivu, intelligence. So I'm trying not to use Tamil words, but unfortunately, if you have to say Maharishi's actual words, you need to use 2 or 3. Excuse me for that. So what we learned from this slide is the science is everything started in one point from which only the Big Bang happens. Instead of understanding the Big Bang from the Big Bang point of view, let us start from our 2022 and we went a little bit back. Why this is important? Because that's where everything started. Now, after the initial expansion of the Big Bang, the primordial elements started to form helium, lithium, carbon dioxide, and then materials formed. This Panchabhutas, we all know that first space formed, then the air formed, then flames and heat formed, then water formed, then the land forms, the Panchabhutam forms. Once the land forms, our Earth, for example, is one of the notorious things, just like how we are seeing Mars and other planets now. It is very hot, very humid, full of poisonous gases, especially carbon dioxide. And at one point, that's what is a kind of a mystery, but you can understand to a certain extent with the help of the science. At one point, this carbon dioxide is so high that from there, a microscopic organism, which is known as a chemolithotropic organism or some kind of a chromophobe organism, we can label it as bacteria or fungi, something like that. And that organism is able to use the carbon dioxide and divide into 2. That is the starting of the life in Earth. Once that organism used the carbon dioxide and divided into 2, the Earth is full of carbon dioxide, as I said. So those 2 has a feast, so much of carbon dioxide to eat. So it becomes 4 and the whole Earth is filled by that bacterial organism. And anything, even though the whole Earth is filled with so much of carbon dioxide, anything once you start consuming and if you are not feeding it, it will empty. Slowly, millions and millions of years, the carbon dioxide reduced. And these organisms take the carbon dioxide and use the carbon for the energy and released oxygen, and slowly the Earth is filled with oxygen. And when the Earth is filled with oxygen, these organisms will die because they need carbon dioxide. These organisms mutate and slowly become the organisms which can use the oxygen also. It's the same thing happened with the COVID, isn't it? We had one strain. People have found a vaccine, the spreading, everything is controlled. So the strain getting changed, it will try its best to exist in the world. And so the new organism which is formed out of it, that forms the very basic organism where the oxygen can be utilized and a kind of a primordial carbohydrate can be produced, and that can be used for the cell division. This particular one which can use the oxygen and produce the energy, that particular cell structure is still present in the world in the form of chlorophyll. That is the chlorophyll present in the plant. So when the organisms are growing together, when the 2 cells are growing together which can use the oxygen, and they will just touch each other and to become a 2-celled organism. Or the cell can divide into 2 but not separately, just divide and still attach to each other. So it becomes a 2-celled organism, 4-celled organism. So the things are getting mutated and learning by itself, that instead of a single organism, if it's a 2-celled, the comfort is better. If it is 4-celled, the comfort is better. So that's how the multicellular organisms formed. Initially things happened under the sea, and then we have the amphibians, and then we have the bacteria, fungi. I don't want to get into that part of it, but because our focus is on the Brahmagnanam. But end of the day, Brahmagnanam is a concept which says that everything started from one primordial thing, and then we started everything. That's what the crux of the whole understanding. So this is just a picture available in any standard textbooks. So let us assume that the Big Bang happened here. After the initial Big Bang, there will be an afterglow and quantum fluctuations, and there was a dark age for millions of years. There is no particle at all. There is only a kind of an energy, which is, we can label it as a dark energy. And then slowly the stars are started forming, and let us assume that we are now in 2020 here. This is our Milky Way galaxy, and people know how it will happen when we go inside the Milky Way, solar system and Earth. I don't want to spend the time on that. So total time duration is 13.77 billion years. And I wish to bring your focus on two things, the black arrow and the red arrow. When we are doing this Navagraha, we are taking our focus to moon, sun, various planets, and then going above. Finally, we go to Shivakalam and Shaktikalam. First Shaktikalam and then Shivakalam. So this is the Shivakalam, which is where there is no activity, absolute silence. This Shivakalam, I can point here, 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 everywhere is the Shivakalam, where there is a potential energy, but there is no activity. And when the first quantum fluctuation starts, that is known as Shaktikalam. So if you want to equate a science with our meditative practice, this is how it will look. Why we have to meditate and take our mind to that level? The importance is, as I said, the Shivakalam is the place where you have absolute bliss, full of energy, Puranam, and if you spend even few minutes absolutely without any thoughts in that period, you are separating yourself from your body and mind, or as you usually say, it's like a physical body and subtle body and causal body. Physical body is the one what you're seeing, it's me. And subtle body is the one what I'm thinking. Like for example, today I should do a good presentation so that everybody should understand how I can make it as simple as possible, at the same time not losing the complexity. So whatever I'm thinking, that is the subtle body. Causal body is the one which is a part of this primordial substance Shivakalam still with me. If that is not there, I will be in coma. And so instead of focusing our energy into the external world, first step is to focus in the body. And today morning, Manika Vasakam sir's meditation is a very nice thing. Focus on your body. When you are focusing on your tongue, your biomagnetism is focused on the tongue. When you're focusing on the eyes, your biomagnetism is focused on your eyes. How many times we have done in the world, in the life? No. Only this practice will help you to focus the biomagnetism there and make yourself healthy. There is a very good scientific principle behind everything. And last time when I did this presentation in Tamil, it's so correlating that Manik Vasagan sir has did the Navagraha. It was so nicely overlapping and nicely matching, I mean. So by making ourselves nicely soaked in that Shivakalam, you are understanding the causal body of your aspect and you are getting away from that. Causal body is perennial. It will never die. So when you die, our physical body goes into the earth or burning depending upon the principles. So our physical body consists of Panchabhutas. All the Panchabhutas will go back to the Panchabhutas. That's it. Whatever come from earth will go back to the earth. Subtle body is the one which carries the karmas. Depending upon how much back balance we have, the karma will decide what is the future birth, etc. This is another very deep topic. Possibly we can discuss it on another good day, how this karma works, etc. Causal body is absolutely clean. There is no karmas, there is no thinking, but brimming with energy perennially. So when you coexistent yourself in the causal body state, that is the Shivakalam. So that is the basis of our meditating towards Shaktikalam and Shivakalam. And once you understand this, maybe you have done this meditation for 100 times. Sometimes if you sit, if you wish, you can close your eyes and within a second you can go to Agna, Turiya, Shivakalam. Within few seconds you can do that because you know what is that. But in the initial stages, we try to touch all the planets and go, because all these planets have the ability to influence your life because of their own gravity. And the beauty of this meditation is, as you are going in a step by step, as the like Manivasagan said, taking you, once you reach Sivakalam, you are a little bit locked if you really follow that. If you want to think something, have I locked my front door? Who is coming to my home today? If you want to think something, your brain will think, no, 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 you can't think like that. You have traveled the steps, so you need to travel back to the same steps so that you can start your normal life. That's the training of the mind. So by following these step-by-step planetary steps, you are able to stay in the Shivakalam bit longer and stronger. I mean, you in the sense, you are training your mind to stay there. Okay. So that is the main science behind doing this in steps. But of course, once you are a pro, once you are very confident, you should be able to go to Shivakalam just in a second. For example, I'm now in the hospital. Actually, I do work on a Saturday. So whenever there is 2 clinics, if I have 15 minutes gap, I can do the meditation in 15 minutes. I'm not telling it's out of pride. I wish to stay as humble as possible, but I'm saying because it will give you a kind of encouragement to practice these things in the break time, and that will make you absolutely new. There is no difference between AM clinic and PM clinic. In PM clinic, afternoon clinic, I will be as good as a morning clinic. That you can achieve by doing the small practices of refreshing your body and making sure that you are keeping your biomagnetism at a good tone. That's what I will say. So now we understood what is the science behind our this meditation and what is the science behind the Brahmagnanam, which is the ultimate one, which is the reason for all the abilities. How you can think about Brahmagnanam? You can think about all these things and go through the Big Bang, or if you are sitting in the earth, everything is only Brahmagnanam. Everything is a manifestation of this Brahmagnanam. So in that way also, you can understand that, okay, we are all Brahmas and everything is a manifestation of Brahmagnanams. Brahma is different, Brahman is different. If you say Brahman, it is a religious god, you know, the Brahman god. Brahma, it means it's not specifically mentioning that God, it is the Purnatvam, whatever we have discussed now. Similarly, Shiva is different, Shivan is different. Anything comes like An and Al is like male and female, which we know in Tamil. So Shivan, Brahman, they are all religious gods. Shiva or Brahma, they are all universe. I know people from other religious beliefs, it's quite difficult to accept these terminologies, but we have good terminologies like whatever the quantum physics says is like quantum fluctuations is equivalent to Shakti Kalam. You can, if it resonates with you, whatever is good for you, you can take it from there. Now, how are we going to apply this Brahmagnana principle in our practices and also day-to-day life? So as I said, we are doing this Panchabhuta Navagragadagam. Why are we doing the stages? I have explained that. So if you are doing in stages, we are training the mind to stay in that Shiva and Shakti Kalam for a longer time, because your mind won't be comfortable in coming back to your subtle body or the physical body easily, because it knows that it traveled some distance. So that's how the training happens. And I explained clearly what is Shakti and Shiva Kalam. And regarding Agna and Turiya meditation, I just want to bring this picture because Dr. Shivakumar has done a wonderful presentation last week. So I thought if I bring this, it will be slightly touching on what he started last week, and then it will be a good one. So in our brain, the major part is the forebrain. The small part behind is the hindbrain. And there is a segment midbrain, and then the brainstem, and then the spinal cord starts. Just in front of the midbrain region, you can see the pituitary and the pineal gland.
It's not complicated for all people. That's the
just give me a minute. Okay, thank you. So what is the importance of this is when you are doing the Agna meditation, we are focusing in this area. Again, just by the simple principles of biomagnetism toning, you are getting more energy into this particular area. Why this midbrain, pineal gland and the pituitary gland are important? So those who are doctors, we know very well pituitary gland is a master gland, and because of the pituitary hypophysis system only, everything start from thyroid or secretions of the corticosteroid hormones, testes, and ovary. Everything is controlled from that, and there is a feedback mechanism also. And what is the importance of the midbrain? The midbrain is the area. This is still, I am working on it. I need to disclose that I will really tell few areas where I am very confident, and this is the final. I will tell few areas where I am still working on it. This month, 1st of March onwards, I'm so glad to share that I'm selected as a panel for the PhD students who are doing the PhD projects in Aliyar. So last week Sunday, I think it happens every first and third Sunday, we had two presentations. One is the scientific basis of Kayakalpa, a person by name Murali is doing it, and then a homeopathy doctor presented the importance of sky practices in treating infertility. So they are all working in a very different wavelength. For these two are very good scientific topics, but they never touch anything science. Maybe their education may be in a Tamil medium and those things like that, but they have gone very deep into our Tamil literature, etc. And I'm trying to give them a flavor of the science into that. And in that process, to help Murali when he is doing that PhD project, when I studied, midbrain is the area where all your associative areas are working. Say for example, if you take eyes, the message comes to the eyes and it goes to the optic area. And then after it's going to the optic area, it comes finally to the midbrain, which is known as optic associative area. Similarly, for the ears, auditory associative area. So for everything, there is an associative area happening. So what is that associative area? Say for example, if I'm hearing a song, or usually I will put the YouTube videos of various sky practices and then walking in the road. I'm still walking, I'm seeing the road, I'm making sure that I'm walking the platform, not dragging myself into the road, not eating against somebody who is walking in the platform, and hearing the sky practices. I walk from home to hospital and hospital to home. That's my routine. Lot of times, or maybe, if a person known to me is crossing me, my eyes are seeing, but it won't get registered. I don't know if anybody has that experience. The eyes are seeing, but it won't register because your auditory system may have taken a little bit more share of your attention. And then if that person come close to you and then touches you, say, Ananda, what happened? I'm smiling at you from the long distance. You are seeing me, but not, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not focused on you. I was hearing something in the headphone. I'm sorry. And then we will share. So what's happening there? So there, eyes are opening, eyes are working, and then all the optic nerve, everything is working, including the optic area. But that associative area is concentrating on the Sky Yoga audios. So that's why you're not able to see that. If you are able to concentrate on what you are seeing, what you are hearing completely, that's a part of meditation. So that shows that there is a correlation between your every forebrain activity and also your midbrain. So that's why the midbrain is the place where all the activities were assimilated. So I find this is the place where our physical body is linked to the causal body. I'm not talking about the subtle body, causal body. So if at all, if there is something known as Atma in your body, it is in that particular place. And why it is important? Now you know scientifically that there is a midbrain area which is closer to pineal. Most of our Tamil literature will say only pineal and pituitary. Nobody is touching the midbrain, but midbrain has got so closely placed auditory area, and just below the midbrain is the brainstem, which regulates all the breathing and everything. So much of activity is happening there. That's why the Agna meditation gives us so much of blood pressure regulation, respiratory regulation, heart rate regulation, so much of calmness. Everything happens in that small area. So I've got a separate presentation on scientific basis of meditation, so I can go through them, including much more pictures quite in detail. So what is the benefit of understanding this science and then practicing the sky practices? So instead of just imaginarily doing it, or if you have a child who you want them to practice these kind of meditations, but they say, it's not me, it's not linking to me. What is the reason behind it? And you can't quote Maharishi's direct words to them. You need to take them in a very scientific path. So I can blindly say how many people are attending us, how many non-Hindu or non-Indian origin people we are able to attract. It is because we don't have this science backup. That's the very, very important thing. If our, improving this organization is a part of it, but it's quite basic. Beyond that, it's very, very basic. So the main benefit of understanding this Brahmanyana is you can coincide with this primordial matter and you can understand why it is important. You can understand how this causal body, subtle body and physical body works. And the beauty of this causal body is there is no karmas. As I said, all the karmas will be in the subtle body, so there is no karmas. So at least in that morning practices for 15 to 30 minutes, you are making yourself free of karma. What a bliss, isn't it? So you are controlled by your karma every second 24/7, but by doing this, that whatever 30 minutes which you are able to spare, you are able to free yourself from karma. I will say the karma is the whole thing which makes you to think. For example, you are driving. You are a wonderful driver. You always follow all the traffic regulations very, very strictly. But on a certain day, the orange has come and you are so close to the crossing and you thought it's okay. And you are maybe in a rush and you passed on. And then after crossing, you crossed in orange, you haven't got any tickets, leave that. You're thinking, I never done that. Why I have done that? Is it me? What made me to do that? Those kind of things where you are doing something slightly beyond your control, that is karma. So karma will control every thoughts which are arising. There are two differences. Thoughts which I think and thoughts which arise to us. For example, when you are driving and there is a very nice vegetarian restaurant, after seeing the restaurant, you think that it's nice, why can't we have a break? We have driven for 3-4 hours, you park there and have some good food. That is thought which is, you are producing the thought. But that's a very small amount, that's very, very small amount. We are producing the thoughts so automatically, and those things and all is controlled by karma. If you are free of karma, the thought production will come down, and then also it will be more pure and good. And as I said, I strongly believe this practice frees us from the past karma for the few minutes with very lasting benefits. And initially you will feel that particular practicing period morning, I usually practice 4:30 to 6:30, only that period is good, but then slowly it spreads throughout the day. And then by the evening, by chance, if your biomagnetism is a bit low, by next day morning you will charge again, and it will fill your day and night so beautifully. It happens so automatically actually. And so I strongly believe that few hours of practice itself is giving you a very lasting permanent improvement. And you will see that your secondary changes are getting better, your hair fall is getting better, because this physical body's troubles due to the subtle body is totally removed, and you are in alignment with your causal body, which is the ultimate Puranam. And we all know there are various scriptures in at least Indian literature to prove that a man who is healthy, like an ultimate man, can live very healthy till 120 years. And I believe if somebody understands and practices everything, not just the morning practice and then going for a very big non-vegetarian meal in the afternoon. I'm not saying non-vegetarian is bad, but there is something a discipline we need to follow when you're taking the non-vegetarian food also. And so I have a separate presentation on fasting and daily activities, what is the science behind it, etc. So if somebody really follows that as early as possible. So for example, I started this when I was around 30. So it's not a bad start, but I'll be so happy if I can start this maybe at the age of 18 or 14, and I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and I'm thankful for the masters who gave initiation to her, and then she started now. Still up and down, but I'm able to prove her the importance, and she understands that. Hopefully, she will maintain it. So if somebody is able to do that from the scratch, from that 14 years, 15 years, doing Kaya Kalpa and everything, they can live healthy till 120. I strongly believe it, not only as a doctor, but also as this practitioner. On one fine day, when you are 120 years, you will feel, I think I've done everything. There's nothing much to do. And you can tell your family and friends to join you, and then have a nice week with them, tell them what you have learned and make them empowered, and go to sleep and then attain a very nice samadhi. This is the best way to die. What is the important thing? We are spending all the karmas. Maybe there's a person who is enlightened and living like that, he will have problems. I won't say there is no problem at all, but he will have problems. But the problems are there to spend whatever the subtle body's karmas, but slowly he will get liberated out of it and having a very nice life. And at the time when he is dying, the subtle body, the karmic body is absolutely shrunken to the dust. So all he have is only the physical body and an absolute causal body. And at the time, if he leaves the physical body and joins with the causal body, there is no rebirth. So there are various concepts about the rebirth is not good. You should be absolutely free of rebirth, maranamilla, peruvarvi, etc. So there is also a little bit of science to that. Maybe that's a slight deviation from the topic, which we can discuss on a different day. So that's how a healthy human being should be. And it creates a healthy atmosphere. If I will usually say in a street, if 4 families are following that, the whole street will become calm. If a street is following that, next 3-4 streets will become calm. If I will say 1/10 of this earth is practicing this, the whole earth will become a heaven. There is no need to pray for, okay, let me go to the heaven after death. There's no need. So that's my belief, and I think we are on the way. Now, this is one of the important things. So those who are very much soaked into the sky practices will feel, Ananda, it resonates absolutely with my practices. I'm so glad to hear this. Nice to see there is a science behind it. I am there. I'm signed up. That's one group. The other group, I'm happy with the science part of it, but you're using the science to prove something which we are not sure. That may be another group. But I will strongly advise even the people who are still skeptical to follow this, because the usual example is the drug related example. So for example, if there's a new drug which we feel is a good, we will prepare a placebo. The placebo is a drug without the core molecule, but it will appear, taste, shape, size, everything like the same drug. So there is a protocol by which the computer will generate the randomization, and 50 people will be randomized into the drug, 50 people will be randomized into the placebo. And then when you see maybe like 10 out of 50 in the placebo group got improvement, while 40 out of 50 in the drug group got improvement. This is how a drug screening or randomized trials going on. So why that 10 out of 50 got improvement? What is the reason? It's a sugar tablet. It's nothing there. And all the most what it may have done is just increase the sugar level by a tiny level, maybe like that. They are getting better because when they were given the tablet, both the groups, they were told that this is a study. There is a 50-50 chance you will get the correct tablet. The tablet has 1, 2, 3, 4 these good effects. So when the tablet taken by the person, he thinks this may be a correct tablet, so I may get some benefit, take it. So belief gives that improvement. That is known as the placebo effect. So whether you are really signing up for whatever I've signed up or whatever I explained, if you just blindly believe, okay, just blindly believe, okay, Ananda told us something, let us blindly believe and follow this in a very scientific manner. Blindly believe in 6 weeks, that's what usually they say, because 48 days, mandala they will say. Your mind will get so tuned up and you will understand what is there and what is correct or wrong. That's very, very important. The final awakening should happen within yourself, and then you should start learning and start reading about few other things, and you may be doing much better presentation on Brahmanyana scientific basis compared to what I'm doing now. So that is the main thing. I'm just placing a seed so that it will grow as a tree within every individual attending this session or seeing this session on a later day. And science will definitely catch up with philosophy at one point. So I've tried to back up philosophy with science as much as possible, and the onus lies on us. We are the people who should be able to do this. And this is the only way we can know the meaning of the truth, and only way we can have a trouble-free, healthy life. Trouble-free means you will still have problems, but you know why it is happening, and you will look at the trouble with a kind of a smirking smile. That's what happens. And ultimately you will be helping yourself, your family, and others. And I'll just give a brief note on what is happening in Aliyar so that people who are interested can attend that. As I said in that picture with the 3 circles, I really infused a lot of my experience and understanding into what is taught in Aliyar, and also the science I've infused it. The 3 circles will never become 1 circle. I don't think it's possible. So when you attend Brahmagnanam in Aliyar, you may get an entirely different taste, and you may feel like, doctor, you said something and I signed up for this Aliyar course traveling all the way from UK to India, whatever, but the taste is different. Means it's different, but they do a wonderful job. Dr. Lakshmanan, Dr. Perumal, they're all like, I can say maybe one of them maybe even double the age like me, and they are doing such a wonderful job. So it's a very nice, the topics are very good: realization of God, plenum, evolution of Vedam, and biomagnetism, cosmology, world religion. I've just given you a juice of whatever I think is important for our group in this presentation. And eligibility is 20 to 65 years. I think if you are quite healthy, age is not the big criteria, and I'm sure people above 14 years can understand. I try to infuse this with my daughter, and she's getting there. And the online rate is 1,600. It may be different now, you need to check it, or it may be different for an NRI person. And this is the exact timetable which I attended 4th, 5th and 6th of February. I can't forget. If I close my eyes, the 3 days will still lurking in my mind. And the day starts quite early with a nice tea and hot water bath, and every day morning they do all the practices which we practice, like Kaya Kalpam and this Kannadi Pairchi and Diva Pairchi and all is quite good for me, because I learned them very long back, and I'm practicing, but this is like a very nice refresher. And then the classes go up to 7 o'clock with very nice break. You can have a good nap at 1 o'clock maybe for an hour, and you can visit Swamiji's Mani Mandapam, morning walk, Maunam. The whole package is so good for our physical body and subtle body. Causal body is always good. Okay, similar to today's presentations, I've got some concepts on scientific basis of Kaya Kalpa, fasting, pranayama, meditation, Surya Namaskar, yogasanas, and blessings, the what we are doing. And everything will take at least 30 to 40 minutes if I have to take the science behind it. People may think, what is the science behind blessing? So there are articles to prove that if you bless someone, what nerves are stimulated, what part of your brain is stimulated, there are something which we need to understand and assimilate and combine together. So they're all the future presentations. Most of the presentations are almost ready, so we can travel slowly. This is not a textbook for the school or college where your aim is to read and understand. This is known as assimilation. In Vedanta, they say like Shravanam, Mananam, Nidityasanam. Shravanam is just reading, which you almost done by participating in that. Nidityasanam is the one where you need to think about it again and again. Possibly Ganga Kumaran sir will send the YouTube link so you can understand it. So it will sink on you. Initially you, with the help of your physical body and subtle body, you will try to get into this Brahmagnanam, and later the Brahmagnanam will keep you healthy, and you can see your life from a different angle. And that is bliss. That joy, I wish everybody should enjoy that. So that's a very, very important one. So Shravanam is just reading, Mananam is like understanding and reading again and again and again, and Nidityasanam is the one where you just soak in it, and that's the life. And for example, like a broth, whether it's a vegetarian or non-vegetarian broth, you need to make the broth to soak, then only that broth will get the taste of the ingredients whatever you have placed. If you're not giving enough time, it won't. So Shravanam is like the ingredients you are placing, and Mananam is the one where you are allowing it to soak, and Nidityasanam is the one you are enjoying the broth, whether it's like a soup or anything you are using for cooking. So it takes time. If I'm correct, strictly, very strongly, very diligently, I'm doing this for, I'll say, 4 years, 5 years now. I attended the Sky initiation program in the Dudley Perumal Koil. I think it's almost like 3 years before, but before that itself, I started it anyway. And the Dudley program was again a very eye-opener day, and I'm sure Tangarajan Master, Shakti Master, Deepaji will do it continuously. That's a very nice place to start, because physically seeing and getting the Diksha, that experience is entirely different. That will really make, it's like putting a booster to your traveling car. And if I am correct, I'm there traveling strictly for 4 years, even though I know the concept for donkey years or 20 years, I will say. I will say the first 6 months it is a bit of a hit and miss, but then I got a real kick of it. And then after a year, I thought I got it. After second year, I'm comfortable. I'm very confident that yes, it is it. The third year is more to add the garnishing over it by reading all the sciences and everything. And fourth year, I started speaking now. So this is my brief. Thank you very much for hearing. I hope it resonates at least with few of you, and I'm quite happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ananda, sir. I think I was always looking for looking for youngsters who can combine Vedatrium with science, and you are certainly one of them. And hope others will follow. People like Deepa, Dr. Sakti, everyone's Dr. Shiva, everybody, and Harry, Manik, Gupta, everyone. They are all going to get APD training in a couple of weeks. So with you're all UK Sky is be blessed by the divine. Thank you. I pray for that as well. I have two questions.
Please.
The first photograph, the first one you said is our universe, or the whole universe is not a round. It's like a whole, like
a tube. You mean?
Yes, that means people are saying there is a view that the tube is expanding and it's moving forward. That means basically what happened is, if we are, say, the Milky Way is in the third cycle or something, our radius will be something. When there will be future, we might move towards the right, and we also move away from other people. Is that the way the imagination goes? Because we have been all told that everything is, think about a ball, and we are within the ball. But now your figure shows in a different way, isn't it? So can you explain that?
Yeah. So what is happening is, in the figure what I showed is, the rightmost part is the one, every dot is a galaxy. And the maximum we can observe now is known as observable universe. And we all know beyond the observable universe, definitely there are multiple universes, multiverse, etc. So the whole picture, as I said, is an extrapolation from that Hubble limiter law. If this is happening, at one point, this may be like that. At one point, this may be like that. And if you just calculate it, 13.8 million ago, everything should be in one primordial point. That's how this has formed. What you are saying, sir, is you are looking at little bit in a smaller area. If we are looking at much smaller area like Earth, Sun, our universe, our next universe, it will be like a bowl. And so it will be like a sphere. So what is outside the sphere? If you slowly start including everything, going beyond the observable universe, you will lose the spherical thing, because everywhere things are moving away from each other at a very good speed. It means this shape will automatically come scientifically if we calculate. So that's how this concept of a single Big Bang and then the Big Bang happened like that is created. Why not the Big Bang happened here and gone only in this direction? It may have gone simultaneously in this direction, this direction, this direction, here, 360 degrees. Yes, possible. So in that case, still we will get back to our same circular globular view. So if you look at the small level, it will be more of like a circular or globular. If you look at a bigger level also, you may end up in circular or globular. This is an extrapolation. Why we stop with this is, this we can prove with some definity, because there are laws applying for a couple of stars. If you extrapolate and go back to them, this is the shape we are getting. Whether the same thing happened in all the directions, possible, but as of now, science has no answer to that. But philosophically speaking, yes, we are correct.
Yeah.
Ananda, can I add more to this?
Yes, Master.
நீங்க கேட்ட கேள்வி ரொம்ப அருமையான கேள்வி. அதாவது இது வந்து பிரம்மநிலை அப்படின்ற ஒரு அமைப்பை வந்து குறிக்கிறதுக்கு உண்டான ஒரு இதா இருக்கு. அதாவது எப்படி அப்படின்னா, ஒரு நம்ம இப்ப வந்து ஆனந்தா சொன்ன மாதிரி இது வந்து ஒரு பிக் பேங் வந்து ஒன்று நடக்குது அப்படின்னா அதுல இருந்து ஒரு எக்ஸ்பான்ஷன் அப்படியே வந்துகிட்டே இருக்கு. இன்னும் வந்து சயின்டிஸ்ட் சொல்றது வந்து இந்த இடத்துல யூனிவர்ஸ் இஸ் எக்ஸ்பேண்டிங் அப்படின்ற ஒரு கான்செப்ட்ல தான் வந்து சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இது வந்து எந்த ஒரு தோற்றத்துக்கும் ஒரு மறைவு அப்படின்றது வந்து உண்டு. இந்த எக்ஸ்பான்ஷன் வந்து, அதாவது பிக் பேங் நடந்த மாதிரி there will be a big crunch. ஒரு எக்ஸ்பான்ஷன் போய்கிட்டே இருக்கும், அதுல ஒரு சேச்சுரேஷன் வரும், திரும்ப எல்லாம் சுருங்க தொடங்கும். ஸோ ஒரு பேங்க் இருக்குது அப்படின்னா there will be a big crunch at the end. அப்போ ஒரு சிவகலம், அதாவது இந்த இன்ஃபினிட் ஸ்பேஸ்ல நீங்க வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது மாதிரி எண்ணற்ற பிக் பேங்கும் பிக் கிரன்ச்சும் நடந்துகிட்டே இருக்கும். இட் எக்ஸ்பான்ஸ். அதாவது இது பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது வந்து நம்ம ஒன்றை மட்டும் நம்ம வந்து பாக்குறோம். இது மாதிரி எண்ணற்ற கோடிக்கணக்கான பிக் பேங்கும் பிக் கிரன்ச்சஸும் நடந்துகிட்டே இருக்கு. அது நாம எந்த இடத்துல இருக்கோம் அப்படின்றது நமக்கு தெரியாது. இப்ப இமேஜின் பண்ணி பாருங்க, ஒரு இன்ஃபினிட் ஸ்பேஸ்ல there will be a big bang. நம்ம இன்னைக்கு வந்து 13.8 பில்லியன் இயர்ஸ் காலகட்டத்தில் இருக்கோம். இது மாதிரி வேற ஒரு பிக் பேங் இருக்கலாம், அது 13 பில்லியனா இருக்கலாம், இன்னொன்று 1 பில்லியனா இருக்கலாம், இன்னொன்று வந்து 15 பில்லியனா இருக்கலாம். இட் இஸ் ஜஸ்ட் இமேஜினேஷன் அண்ட் இஸ் தி எக்ஸ்ட்ராபுலேஷன். இதை வச்சுதான் வந்து நம்ம வந்து பார்க்கணும். அதுதான் இறைநிலையை வந்து உணர்ந்த ஒரு அமைப்பை வந்து மகரிஷி சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க. ஓம் என்று ஜபிப்பவனை பக்தன் என்போம், உட்பொருளை உணர்ந்தவனை ஞானி என்போம். உட்பொருள் அப்படின்றது வந்து பிக் பேங்ன்றது வந்து அப்படின்னு எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் ஆகுது. ஒரு இடத்துல அந்த மகரமை வந்து கிரன்ச், இதுதான் வந்து அதனுடைய தத்துவம். பிலாசபி விட்டுருங்க, இது வந்து பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணக்கூடிய அந்த விஷயம் வந்து பண்ண 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 நமக்கு இந்த விஷயங்கள் வந்து நமக்கே உள்ள புரிய ஆரம்பிக்கும். வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Thank you, Master. In fact, what Rajan Master mentioned there, in our Hindu philosophies, it is mentioned as a one breath. So the whole thing, like Shiva or Shivan or Narayanan, when they take one inspiration is the Big Bang and one expiration is the Big Crunch. So it is just one breath for them. I mean, when the people understand this, the previous rishis, they want to humanize it. They want to humanize this principle so that it's easy for teaching the others. Because if you don't humanize, it's very difficult, very only for the sake of imagination. So they all humanized everything. So all the godliness are humanized. So how we should live is, godliness we should see in the human being and humanize the godliness, so that the God will become almost like our friend, or it's ourselves. We can make it even ourselves if we are confident enough in the travel.
Both Deepa, you can ask the question.
Thank you, Dr. Ananda, for a wonderful morning session on science. when we are talking about science behind Kayakalpam, and I'm really pleased that you are leading the panel for the PhD. Excited to hear about that. Have you seen any evidence published, which or is there any research looking at measuring Kayakalpam's effect? Is it measurable? Because that's what modern medicine would like to say, isn't it? What is the effect of A on B, or what is the effect? Or is current research happening more in terms of narration of evidences and ancient literature? How is the direction of the research going in this field?
Yeah.
And that's one question. Maybe if you address that, then I'll probably have the other one.
Okay, thank you. That's useful because we can take it in small bits.
Yeah.
So how the research happening as of now in earlier that too, I mean, if you take PhD, we all believe PhD is the ultimate degree we are giving to a particular person because he has completed the research in that particular one and he's getting it. So I quoted even the name Murli, who is doing the PhD on the scientific basis of Kayakalpa. But it is so surprising, or maybe their world is that's it. So we should not feel offended by the approach. He is doing the research mainly on what is this Vindu Nadam, for example. Vindu is a secretion from the men and Nadam is secretion from the woman. And what is the mentioning of Vindunadam in Vallalar, Avvayar, Nayanmargal,
Vedanta?
This is the research he is making. But the title of his research is Scientific Basis of Kayakalpa. And so I told him I will guide him, of course, and they have accepted my offer, and I'm now in the guiding panel. That's different. But what we need to do is we need to see how the Kayakalpa works in the body. So we had a very brief discussion. I don't know whether they have recorded the session. So I've told them about what we are actually doing in Kayakalpa. Say, for example, if you constrict the anal muscle and relax, just do only that. It is very commonly known as Kegel's exercise in the medicine, which we know.
Yeah.
So if you do that, what is happening is, by constricting and holding and releasing, you are strengthening the muscle. It's just like taking a dumbbells for your biceps, as simple as that. And also, when you're doing that, especially if you focus that and do, what is happening is you are focusing your biomagnetism into the pelvic muscles, into the pelvic nerves. So more amount of acetylcholine will be available, and that makes that part which is diseased into a healthy place. The same thing we are doing in the Panjari Divam. If you focus on your eyes, if you have any need to wear spectacle, if you have any power, it will get corrected. Your taste will improve, your smell will improve. So that's the same thing, the biomagnetism. But the beauty of Kayakalpa is, Kayakalpa Maharishi learnt in Japan. When he went to Japan on the invitation by the Tamil people living there, he is teaching the Sky Yoga exercises with various positions, improvement due to the acupuncture and Burma related basics, everything. And one person came and said, we have our own guru, who is like a local Japanese guru, who is doing a kind of exercise, but I don't know what is the name in Japan which they used, but it is Kayakalpa. And he wants to learn Swamiji's simplified exercises because of the involvement. It's simplified exercises, not just left, right like our school drill. So as Dr. Shivakumar mentioned, if you are keeping your finger in the ears, there are 3 areas where we are stimulating the nerve. So everything has a science behind it. I don't know whether even Maharishi understood it in a scientific manner, but he understood with the help of the Varma and acupuncture point of view, which is also a science anyway. At the end of the day, acupuncture, Varma, our modern science can be put into the same platform. That's what my aim is. And then Swamiji said, okay, I will teach him the simplified exercises and the importance of position, everything, but he needs to teach me Kayakalpa. So he learned Kayakalpa from that Japanese saint, and then he practiced for almost 10 to 15 years. He haven't disclosed that with anyone. And then he saw the improvement, and then he made it a part of the training, and it's everybody is doing that. This is the history behind the Kayakalpa. I thought of discussing this during the speech, scientific basis of Kayakalpa, but nothing wrong in this. Now, sorry Deepa, I'll finish. So what is happening is, in Kayakalpa, instead of just doing the Kegels exercise and making the pelvic floor strong, preventing the urine incontinence, etc., we are using the respiration and the other thing like belief, or in Tamil, bhavanai. We are taking that energy, biomagnetism, through the spinal cord into the higher chakras. That's what happens. And even though we are trying to do it, it actually happens. And I'm very sure those who are very odious practitioners of Kaya Kalpa will definitely know the differences, and in the body, in the strength, everything. If at all, if there is any study, for example, now we have started the study of fasting and its impact in diabetic management. Just last week only we started in Aliyar. The doctors working in Aliyar are actually helping me to recruit the patients. Study, design, everything I'm doing from here, but the patients alone will be recruited there because it's ethically a little bit easier compared to doing it in UK. So if we have to do something like Kaya Kalpa, so what are the quantifiable measures? So I can easily say that your skin wrinkling will come down, your hair fall will come down, your hair will become black, and you will feel energetic. But all these things are very subjectively qualifiable
Measured.
things. Yeah. So if I put a scaling like 1 to 10, hair loss 1 to 10. So a person who's doing Kaya Kalpa, he will say, I think 10 means absolute regrowth of hair, a bald hair becoming a full hair, requiring a haircut every 3 months. 1 means no improvement. So we can give a score. So like that, we can give a score for whatever we think, including mental clarity, focusing in the work, decrease of like fight within the family. And so we can create like 20 parameters and do that. My only thing is, I don't want to do the study with a control group because it's a crime. You know, Kaya Kalpa is a very successful method, and you are depriving a group of people, not giving them Kaya Kalpa just because you want a control group and you have only a intervention group. So what I told the scientific panel in Aliyar, Perumal sir is leading it, is let us give this to everyone and then measure this by a visual analog score, everything, over 1 month, over 2 months, and it should be a very, very long-term study. These studies are life-changing, so you can't just do a 6-week study and then come out with an answer. So you should do it like a long-term. You can publish it in 6 months short-term results and 1 year results, but it should continue. The same thing I told for the homeopathy doctor, husband and wife practicing Sky Yoga practices an improvement in infertility, and they come across some improvement in the infertility patients with polycystic ovarian disease, etc. But when we are doing this, we'll give them a diary. In the diary, they will mention when they did Kaya Kalpa, today, yes, Monday, yes, Tuesday, no. So we have to correlate the amount of Kaya Kalpa done by the practitioners and the referral into the scoring system. The only thing is the subjective bias. Say, for example, if somebody asks me that how good you are looking, 1 to 10. 10 means the best person in the world. 1 means a very normal person. And I'm happy to put 10 out of 10 for me, but others won't accept. So all these scores are very subjective. So that's why doing the Kaya Kalpa study, it's definitely possible. I need multiple pair of hands to help me to do that. That's what Murali is doing, and I'm trying to change that PhD thesis slightly with a scientific flavor. But I'm sure that day will come where there will be one person who will take, okay, doctor, I will do it completely scientific. Let us accept Avayar, Valalar, where everybody is good. Let us keep them on the side and take it scientifically. They will come. Since I'm in the panel, they will come. Something will be done.
Okay, brilliant. Well, that's the main thing. It's not shouldn't just be narrative synthesis, because I think there are so much of narration already in Vedanta or in ancient literature. It's useful to translate them into a scientific narrative synthesis, but we also need to be looking at what are the measurable, validated tools that the Western world will accept as evidence for Kaya Kalpa, and even referring to ectoplasm and whether there can be any chemicals or secretions of hormones in the pituitary that can be associated. We need to be thinking around the science more that can be shown in paper rather than philosophical way. That will help the future generation to kind of adapt it. And also want to refer to the pelvic girdle exercises. whether there can be some connections between the modern medicine and pelvic girdle exercises. But again, we need to be thinking about in what way pelvic girdle exercises are relating to Kaya Kalpa. My other question was, Kaya Kalpa is more to do with the gravity and our body moving away from the gravity of the center of the earth, and earth being moving away from the center of the sun. So again, are there any references to say, and that's why the aging is happening, and we are trying this reverse mechanism for anti-aging by doing Kaya Kalpa. So again, is there any physics development, or does this only apply in earth? So again, that goes into explaining the unexplained, really. But I just wondered if you came across any references when you were looking into it.
Yeah, nice question, Deepa. Again, this will be very in detail dealt when I am discussing the scientific basis of Kaya Kalpa, but I'll give a brief that is a very useful one. So, how this gravity works, how this time works. So, if we remember that Big Bang principle, the time when the Big Bang happens, that's when the first second started. Before that, there is no time. So during the Shivakalam practice, we are going into an area where there is no time and there is no real space, but everything is filled with brimming energy. That's what we are trying. At that point, there is no need for aging. There is no aging because the cell, the another English word which you all should know and should learn in detail is known as entropy. Okay, so there is no entropy there. So in entropy simply means if I create a kind of a sand dune in the beach and then leave it, after 1 hour if I come, the sand may have flown away or the water may have destroyed it. That is entropy. Entropy means everything under the circumstances of gravity will perish. If there is a big city with a lot of people living, beautiful garden, if you move all the people out of the city, go inside after 6 months, 1 year, the whole inside the house you can see the plants are growing and everything. That is entropy. The entropy will really take everything inside. That is the main thing. And then I'm sorry, somebody is sharing something. I don't know if it's correct. Okay, somebody is sharing something. I don't know whether it's correct or not. So what is happening is the gravity is the main way by which our subtle body with the karmas are affecting us. In earth, what is happening is because of the earth's rotation and gravity at a particular point, we are aging at a particular speed. And that's why if you see the movies like Matrix, if an astronaut goes to a good faraway place without gravity and if he comes back, his daughter will be much more elder to him because the gravity makes the daughter more older compared to the astronaut, the movie which we all know. And also there is a very nice story on Iranya Garban. So Iranya Garban is a person who is going in a kind of a spaceship. Okay, and then they got a small son. He wants to go away in a different spaceship, and the father says that there is a black hole. Don't play with the black hole. If you accidentally fall into it, that's it. You are doomed, and you will never come back. And he says, okay, I know how to drive this vehicle, and so he goes closer to the black hole, and then he understands that the whole thing is different, and he skirts back. And he feels so happy that I went to the brim of the black hole and I won the black hole and I come back. And when he come back, that spaceship which they were traveling with the parents is not there. So he was a small child, maybe like 15-year-old. So he was a bit upset and so he is traveling all over and he come across another planet. Okay, this is a story, but this will give you the idea. And when he reaches that planet, the people were looking at it. Who are you? This is the small space boat we used like 2000, 3000 years before. So when that guy went into the margin of the black hole for a fraction of a second, 2000 years have gone. So that's how it works. So gravity slows the time. So without gravity, there is no time. That is the Shivakalam. So the gravity slows the time. And when the gravity slows the time, our body also will be succumbed by the entropy principle and getting aged. And aging means when you are standing, especially we are bipedal animals, so because of the gravity, most of our energy biomagnetism will get lowered down into the Mooladhara if you are taking from the chakras point of view. So by karma, it takes to Mooladhara, because by karma, by subtle body, we want the subtle body will make sure that you got enough biomagnetism in the Mooladhara and Swadhisthana, because these two are very important for your interest in the sex, interest in the food, which is how the karma can control you. If a person has lost the interest in the sex and food, that's it. That is almost like
Existence.
90% enlightenment, I will say. Even though you don't know Brahmagnanam, whatever, if you have lost interest in the food and the sex, especially at the young age, losing at the age of 90 is different, then that's it. So your karma can control you. A karma will control a man to make a mistake only by infusing the sex related interest or the food related interest. So if a person has to suffer with increased body weight, diabetes, hypertension, the karma will make sure there is enough biomagnetism in Swadhisthana, keeps him to interest to have the fried foods, and he will get the weight and he will suffer. And karma is ticking the box. Okay, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. By doing Kaya Kalpa, we are taking this biomagnetism to the higher levels. Anything at or above Agna is the, Anagata is the best chakras. So Anagata gives you the lot of happiness and kindness. Vishuddhi gives you a kind of a nice leadershipness, and Agna gives you that nice knowledge, and Turiya takes you away from your body, and Turiya Dinam is absolute. Once you are in Turiya Dinam, you are not at all related to this physical body and subtle body. So this is how the Kaya Kalpa takes the biomagnetism from below to high. Some people, when they are practicing, if they do it in a little bit of a wrong way, as Rajan Master once explained, they may get some headache because there are too much of bioenergy in the head. So they need to do like a Shanti Davam, maybe every Friday. And we have our own clearance meditation. And our formula, I will say, is the wonderful formula for ticking all the boxes. We are addressing the needs, we are curing the disease, we are addressing the side effects, and we are preventing the side effects, and even if it happens, we are able to cure it also. So this Kaya Kalpa principle, which Swamiji learned from over the Japanese master, and Swamiji must have experimented and changed it a bit. Swamiji is not a person who will just transfer the knowledge from A to B. He experienced and he put his own knowledge to it, and that's why this is one of the gem in the crown of our Sky Yoga practices.
Yeah, thank you so much for introducing all those terminologies and concepts, and it's much more enlightening, and I can see more connections with quantum physics research as well. So it's great session, and thank you so much. Varga Valamudan.
My pleasure. Varga Valamudan.
ஆனந்தையா, நீங்க சொன்னதுல ஒரே ஒரு பாயிண்ட் மட்டும் ஆட் பண்றேன். ஐ மீன் பாயிண்ட்ல ஜஸ்ட் நீங்க சொல்லும் போது தோணுச்சு, இந்த பிக் பேங்க்ல வந்து சிவட்கா அந்த ஸ்டார்டிங் பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு இல்லையா, அந்த புள்ளி, அப்ப டைமே இருக்காது அப்படின்னீங்க இல்லையா, அதான் நம்ம கதையில பார்த்தா டக்குன்னு அதான் ஞாபகம் வந்துச்சு. இப்ப சிவன் பக்கத்துல வந்து எம்மன் போக முடியாது அப்படின்பாங்க. அதாவது காலவன் வந்து வரவே முடியாது சிவன் பக்கத்துல. So it's correlates with what you said. The Shivan on that point la vandu there is no time.
Correct.
அது வந்து ஜஸ்ட் ஆமா. சோ நம்ம புராணத்தை வந்து கொஞ்சம் சயின்டிஃபிக்கா நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரிலாம் யோசிச்சு பார்த்தோம்னா everything matters. ஆமா,
எல்லாத்துக்கும் கனெக்ஷன் இருக்கு. கனெக்ட் பண்ண வேண்டியதுதான் நம்ம ஒர்க். காலன் அப்படின்றதே வந்து காலம் டைம் வச்சு தான் வந்திருக்கு. ஸோ காலன் அப்படின்னு ஒருத்தர் நம்ம உருவகப்படுத்துகிறோம். ஒரு குண்டா கருப்பா மீசை வச்சுக்கிட்டு எருமை மாடு மேலே உட்காந்துட்டு காலன்னு நம்ம உருவகப்படுத்துகிறோம். அது காரணம் வந்து அந்த காலத்தில் வந்து பீப்புள் சொல்லிக் கொடுக்கும்போது தே ஸ்ட்ரகிள்டு இஃப் தே வாண்ட் டு சே தட் காலம் என்பது தான் வந்து காலம் தான். இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இப்போ நான் வந்து இப்போ 100 years இருக்கணும்னு இருந்துச்சுன்னா ஹூ டேக்ஸ் மை லைஃப் அட் தி 100th year, இட் இஸ் காலம். பட் காலம்னு சொன்னால் மக்கள் புரிஞ்சிக்க மாட்டுறாங்கன்னு சொல்லி காலன்னு கொண்டு வந்து அதுக்கு ஒரு உருவகம் கொண்டு வந்து அது ஒரு பேட் ஈவெண்ட்னால அதுக்கு ஒரு பிளாக் கலர் கொடுத்து நம்மளே வந்து ஒரு ரேஷியல் டிஸ்கிரிமினேஷன் பண்ணி விட்டுட்டோம், பாவம் யமன்.
கரெக்ட். இப்போ எங்க ஐடியில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அப்படிதான். இப்போ ஒரு ஐஃபோன் எடுத்துட்டோம்னா உள்ள ஃபுல்லாக வந்து லைனக்ஸ் அப்படின்னு ஒரு இது சொல்லுவோம். ஃபுல்லாக டெக்ஸ்டாக தான் இருக்கும், புரியறதுக்கு கஷ்டமா இருக்கும். அதை வந்து கொஞ்சம் விஷுவலாக கிராஃபிக்ஸாக வந்து வெளியில மட்டும் கிராஃபிக்ஸ் இருக்கும். ஐஃபோன் உள்ள பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எல்லாம் டெக்ஸ்ட்ல தான் இருக்கும், கோடிங் எல்லாமே இருக்கும். ஸோ நமக்கு அதே பக்தி மார்க்கம் வந்து ஒரு ஐகான் மாதிரி கொடுத்து புரியுறதுக்கு. பட் உள்ள போனோம்னா நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டேஜ் வந்து ஞான மார்க்கெட்ல வந்து ஓகே ரீசன்ஸ் அண்ட் சயின்டிஃபிக் கார்லேஷன்ஸ் அதை நம்ம பண்ணிட்டு நினைக்கிறேன் அடுத்த ஸ்டேஜ்.
ஆக்ஸ்ஃபோர்டில் ஒரு ஸ்பீக்கர் இருக்கார், கம்ப்ளீட்லி இங்கிலீஷ் ஸ்பீக்கர். ஈ ஹேட் அ டச் ஆஃப் இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் ரமண மகரிஷி இன் திருவண்ணாமலை. அவர் வந்து இந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள் வச்சு தான் சொல்லுவார். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் வந்து ஒரு இமெயில் ஐக்கான் இருக்குது உங்கள் டெஸ்க்டாப்பில். அவர் சொல்கிற அதே எக்ஸாம்பிள் ப்ளூ கலர்ட் இமெயில் ஐக்கான், இது அதுதான் அடிக்கடி அவர் மென்ஷன் பண்ணுவார். அந்த இமெயில் ஐக்கானை வந்து நீங்கள் வந்து டச் பண்ணி நீங்கள் வந்து எடுத்து இந்த சைடு வைக்கிறீங்கன்னா, ஆர் எடுத்து ரீசைக்கிள் பின்னில் போடுறீங்க, அது போயிடுச்சுன்னா, do you really move that icon into the recycle bin? No. We are only touching that in the form of a pixel. It gives you a kind of a working interface. And அந்த ரீசைக்கிள் பின்னில் போன பிறகு the original அந்த இமெயில் ஆப் வந்து அதே இடத்துல தான் இருக்கும். But it is labeled under a recycle bin, and if you delete the empty the recycle bin, that email address will get disappear. ஸோ இப்படி தான் லைஃபு. இப்போ நம்ம கண், காது, மூக்கு எல்லாமே வந்து இட்ஸ் அன் இன்டர்ஃபேஸ் டு மேக் யூ டு எக்ஸிஸ்ட் ஸோ தட் த சட்டில் பாடி கேன் ப்ளே த கர்மா. ஸோ இப்போ நம்ம கண்ணில் பார்க்குறது எல்லாமே தப்பு. ஏன்னா வானம் வந்து ப்ளூ கலரில் இருக்குது, அது ப்ளூவாக இருக்குது, கண்டிப்பாக ப்ளூ இல்லை. ஏன் ப்ளூவாக இருக்குது? எர்த்துடைய மேஜர் சர்ஃபேஸ் வந்து ப்ளூ சி, அது வந்து அட்மாஸ்பியர் ரெஃப்ளெக்ட் ஆகுது. நம்ம பார்க்கும்போது வானம் வந்து ப்ளூவாக இருக்குது. ஸோ நம்ம பார்க்குறது எல்லாமே தப்பு. இப்போ நீங்கள் கேட்குறீங்களே, நீங்கள் வந்து என்னுடைய வார்த்தையை நீங்கள் கேட்கவே இல்லை. நீங்கள் கேட்குறதெல்லாம் வந்து அதெல்லாம் வந்து எலக்ட்ரிக் சிக்னல்ஸாக மாறி, எலக்ட்ரோ மேக்னெட்டிக் சிக்னல்ஸாக மாறி அதை தான் நீங்கள் கேட்டுட்ருக்கீங்க. ஸோ நம்ம ஹோல் லைஃப்பில் வந்து எல்லாமே வந்து இட்ஸ் லைக் விர்ச்சுவல் சிமுலேஷன் மாதிரி தான். ஸோ அது வந்து ஒரு செஷனை நல்லா பண்ணலாம். நம்ம பார்க்குறது, நம்ம கேட்குறது எல்லாமே வந்து மாடிஃபைடு. Why modified? Only if it is modified, the so-called the karmas can tick it box. If for a person who is not having this karma, if say odiously practice good practices and coming out of the sthula sarira and they dwell at the level of the causal body, they will look the body as a toy. இப்போ எனக்கு வந்து ஒரு மெர்சிடிஸ் கார் இருக்குது, நான் அதை பத்திரமா பார்த்துப்பேன். ஸ்க்ராட்ச் ஆச்சுன்னா விலை அதிகம், நான் எமோட்டி பண்ணுவேன், பத்திரமா ஓட்டுவேன், கரெக்டாக பார்க் பண்ணுவேன். அதே மாதிரி இது என்னுடைய ஒரு டாய். And there is nothing death. Death is nothing but your body is becoming a little bit loose because the biomagnetism is gone, and you need to take it back to this Om Panjabhudam and you will get a different body. That's it. இந்த கிளாரிட்டி வந்துடுச்சு. நான் யோசிச்சு பாருங்கள், வயசானவங்க, இப்போ நான் இந்தியாவுக்கு போகும்போது எங்கள் அம்மா அப்பாவும் பார்த்தேன். 4 days 5 days இருந்தேன். They touched upon the death many times. When they touched upon the death, எனக்கு கிளாரிட்டி இருந்ததுனால வந்து முடிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் நான் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுறேன். ஆனால் அவங்களுக்கு ஓரளவுக்கு தான் ரீச் ஆகும். எனக்கு பாவமாக இருக்குது. எனக்கு பாவமாக இருந்துட்டு நான் திரும்ப ஃப்ளைட்டில் வரும்போது எனக்கு பயமாக இருந்துச்சு. நமக்கு தெரியுது இதை எப்படி நம்ம வந்து அவங்களுக்கு வந்து ஒரு டெத்துன்றது ஒரு விஷயம் இல்லைன்றது எப்படி கொண்டு போகிறதுன்றதை பார்க்கும்போது எனக்கு உண்மையாகவே வந்து ஐ ஹாவ் ஸோ மச் ஆஃப் ஒர்க் டு டூன்ற மாதிரி தான் தோணுச்சு. அது அந்த ஒரு கிளாரிட்டி, டெத்தை ஒருத்தங்க வின் பண்ணுறாங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், அதுதான் வந்து காலனை வின் பண்ணுறோம். ஸோ தட் இஸ் அல்டிமேட், தட் இஸ் வாட் வி ஆர் டூயிங். பட் தெரிஞ்சு பண்ணணும், அதுதான் முக்கியம்.
கரெக்ட். ரொம்ப அருமையான ஸ்பீச் டாக்டர், ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்துச்சு.
தேங்க்யூ.
தேங்க்யூ.
If Illian said that Manikavasan, we can say Ulaga Nallavittu.
Okay, yeah. வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். உலக நல வாழ்த்து. உலகமெல்லாம் பருவமழை ஒத்தபடி பெய்யட்டும், உழவரெல்லாம் தானியத்தை உவப்புடனே பெருக்கட்டும், பல தொழில்கள் புரிகின்ற பாட்டாளி உயரட்டும், பகுத்துணர்வில் தொகுத்துணர்வு பண்பாட்டை உயர்த்தட்டும், கலகங்கள் போட்டி பகை கடந்தாட்சி நடக்கட்டும், கல்லாமை கடன் வறுமை கலகங்கள் மறையட்டும், நலவாழ்வை அளிக்கும் மெய் ஞான ஒளி வீசட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும். வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். நன்றியா.
நன்றி.
Have a good weekend, Ananda. Once again, thank you from our heart, from all of us from Sky UK. Bye.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
வாழ்க்கை வளமுடன்.